Picking up where we left off yesterday, we're going to move on to our next type of function, which is an exponential function. Again, just running through the three kinds here. This is the exact same slide as yesterday. I've got what's called a linear function. That's where it's just 3 times x plus 4. There's no, the x isn't being manipulated with an exponent of any sort. We've got the quadratic functions from yesterday where there is an x to the second power or x squared in the function somewhere. And then last, and possibly the easiest one, is where your exponent is the variable. When I say the easiest, I just as far as like entry into the calculator, you're basically just going to have to, whatever your base is, in this case 2, hit your exponent key and then type in your variable or your value for your variable. So again, if you're not comfortable or if you haven't done it before putting exponents into your calculator, go back and watch the video that I made about how to do that. It'll help. If you're having trouble with your, if you're using the calculator on your cell phone, you might want to think about getting an actual calculator. They're a little bit easier to use. So here's the function from the previous page. I've got 2 to the x power, so that means that I'm going to evaluate 2 to the 0 power, 2 to the second power, and 2 to the third power. The nice thing about these is you don't have to have a calculator. You can just work these out by hand. I'm going to take 2 times 2 times 2 a whole bunch of times until I hit the number in my exponent. The only thing that you have to be aware of, and I did discuss it in that video, is that anything to the 0 power, that is not a multiplier. That is not 2 times 0. The definition of an exponent of 0 is that it defaults to 1. So it doesn't matter if it's 2 to the 0 power. It doesn't matter if it's 2,000 to the 0 power. It defaults down to 1. So 2 to the second power, that's 2 times 2. 4, 2 to the third power, 2 times 2 times 2, that is 8. Okay, exponential functions have a tendency to get really big really fast. 2 is kind of a small base to be working with, but if you're working with a bigger number as your base, you start putting in exponents, it's just going to explode and get really big really fast. One of the things that we're going to discuss later on is, this is how viruses and germs and kind of virus colonies grow, as they grow exponentially. It's kind of a neat thing as far as the science of it goes. But so here I've done one additional thing. We've got the kind of the exponential portion of the function. And then once you get your evaluation of that, subtract 1. We can still add, subtract. We can do all that kind of stuff with these functions. It's just that we need to make sure that we evaluate the exponent part of it correctly before we do that. So I'm going to plug in 0 where the x is at. So this is 4 to the 0 power minus 1, 4 to the first power minus 1, and 4 to the fifth power minus 1. That last one will be pretty big just because of how the exponent affects everything. So 4 to the 0 power, like I just said, that defaults to 1. So 1 minus 1, this is 0. 4 to the first power, that's just 4. Minus 1, that guy goes up to 3. Now 4 to the fifth power, I have no earthly idea what that is. So 4 to the fifth power, 1024. So this is 1024. When I subtract 1 from that, that is 1023. All right, this one is slightly different. Just pay attention to these. I think there's one on your homework where this happens, where your exponent is not just a variable. Your exponent is this whole expression. Now that doesn't really affect much other than once you plug in your number, you have to do something to it. So when I plug in my exponent, it's -1 plus 1. So kind of like that's in a set of parentheses by itself, you have to take care of that arithmetic before you use that as an exponent. So 2 to the, that is 0 when I add those together. And then here 2 to the 0 plus 1, that's 1. So that becomes 2 to the first. And then here 2 to the 5 plus 1. So that's 2 to the sixth. Again, I don't know what that is off the top of my head. 64. Make sure you're keeping up with your daily work. Don't fall behind on this stuff. The assignments aren't long. All they're going to do is take you a little bit of time on your calculator. Get them done.